Welcome to the Live Lucky podcast, where we discuss the lucky strategies that bridge the gap between who you are and who you want to be. I'm your host, Blake Suzelis. Get ready to face the worst of yourself, shift your perspectives, deepen your love, and broaden your wisdom to live and lead others in a lucky life. Welcome back to the Live Lucky podcast, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today, I have such a special treat. I have NBA legend Austin Carr joining me today, and I'm so grateful for you to join me today, Austin.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you. How you been?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Yeah. I know we met a couple years ago. You had come to a talk I gave on mindful leadership is actually how we met the first time, I believe.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Yep, you're right. We did. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember those. I remember that day.
Yeah. No, that was a good night. That was a lot of fun. Well, Austin, what I was hoping to, well, for you, for those of you who are not familiar with Austin, I just want you to know when I say legend, I do mean that. He's holding some really outstanding records in college basketball. He played 10 years in the NBA. He was the first pick of the Cleveland Cavs in 1971 draft. He's been the commentator for the Cavs for years. And I mean, I know that there's so much more to Austin than just basketball. And so those are actually the parts that I really want to dive into today. But it's just really exciting to have you here, Austin. Thanks so much. And so, yeah, if I could just have you just sharing your story about, really working with youth is I know your passion and what's really in your heart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, it's taken me I've always done this from, I would say, from my, when I was in college, I started doing it. We had a program called Reach Out, and we would go into the community and deal with the underserved people in our community. We'd hold basketball clinics for them and do different things. And that's where I kind of started, and I really enjoyed it. So I kind of, I kind of got mentally and physically into it then. And then once I started doing it, it just came natural to me. So I kind of, everywhere I went, through college, and then when I got into the pros, I started involving myself more in the community and doing things to help people, which always, to me, it makes you feel it's a good feeling inside to help other people. And I got addicted to that feeling, so it just got to be easy to do. And so when I got with I've been with the Cavs now, since day one almost. About 50 years, and we've done a lot of stuff in the community over the years. And one particular time, we were doing a program with an organization called YOU, Youth Opportunities Unlimited. And what happened is I happened to meet a young man who had a very bad speech impediment. And the next thing I know, I've come back 2 years later, and he is the primary speaker at an event that YOU was holding. And right then, that made me realize that they were putting their money where their mouth is, and it's not just all the money. All the money that was going into the organization was being used properly. It wasn't going to the administrative fees, which a lot of them do. And so that's when I decided to get involved, and I've been involved with him now 13 years. We hold a golf outing every year, and we raise about $50,000 every event. So we've done a pretty respectful job for YOU and the community. We've done a good job of educating and helping. Not just, like I said, not just educational wise, as far as trying to helping them with scholarships, but we try and help them with after school programs, and we do all types of whatever we can to help them health wise. We try and help too. So it's just a good feeling, a good organization, and I'm really happy that I'm involved with them.
Well, like you said, I know that feeling of getting addicted to helping people. That's why I'm a therapist, right? Like, I mean,
Yes, that's
it
right.
just keeps your, I mean, you just
Yeah.
love life when you're able to do
Yes.
that and reach out and help people.
Yeah.
Um, and it sounds like YOU gave you that platform to be able to really do that in an impactful way.
Yes.
And I'm curious, like for you, what have you learned? I mean, gosh, you've got to have so many stories about people you've helped and things you've seen and things you've learned. I'm just curious if you would pass along some of that wisdom today.
Well, the one thing you can never do is quit, is stop. I mean, is because, in other words, people have situations that they are dealing with that's all they know. So sometimes, you get involved with kids that really need your help, but they don't understand your help because they haven't been exposed to it before, or anybody trying to help them. They've always been exposed to people who try and take things from them or do things to them. I mean, it's so you have to kind of, you got to be tough skinned to be able to get through that and come out on the other end. Because when you come out on the other end, that's when it's all roses then, because the person understands, and first of all, they're not afraid of you. They understand that you're trying to help them, and they work. And really, the effort that they put in from that point on is very, and plus it's rewarding to see a person where you know where they came from and what they are and what they have transformed into or trying to turn into. And really, when you look at it, a lot of them are very helpful to their own families, because the reason why it's like this is because it gets like that is because the parents are just like the children as far as is how they understand life. So you have to realize that some of the parents, you may not be able to help them, but you can help the kids, who in turn can help the parents, or if the parents want help. So I mean, so it becomes a tricky kind of situation, but at the same time, you can't give up. You have to keep fighting, because to me, the way I look at it and the way I was told, excuse me, by a friend of mine when I was in high school, you never know which one of the people that you help could come up with a cure for cancer. I mean, so there's or come up with some cure that will help the whole human race. So that's how I kind of look at it. I kind of look at it like, regardless of the resistance I get, I'm gonna fight as much as I can to help, because I know in the long run it's going to be something that's going to help mankind.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so much wisdom in what you just said. I mean, in terms of even, how kids normalize their livelihood. And I mean,
Yes.
working with the youth also. I mean, I've worked with kids all the way down to 2 years old who've been in traumatic experiences. And
Oh boy. Well,
um,
then, yeah.
yeah, I remember, I'll never forget, there's this one kid, we were in therapy and he started laughing and he's like, I think it's funny when my dad punches my mom in the face. And so me and my brother laugh and
Oh
it just
wow.
broke my heart that that was his normal. And he was trying
Yes.
to use humor to cover up the sadness and everything that was
Right.
going on underneath. And you're
Right.
right, it turns into a family systems kind of you almost have to deal with the whole family in order to really help that kiddo.
You're right. That's exactly right. I mean, that's the only way it's going to happen. I mean, because the one thing that I have come to realize is that when you help someone, you help these kids, you help them out. The only problem you have is they got to go back home. And when they go back home, now you got to, when you get them back the next day, you got to retrain them. And so each day it becomes a problem, and it becomes a huge problem, because the child doesn't understand what's happening to him, but he knows now that there's another part of life that's different than what he's experiencing. So it becomes a slippery slope sometimes dealing with it, because what I found out too, which is sad, there's a lot of parents in those situations in the underserved community that really don't want their kids to be better than them, and that's a part of society that really is warped, because I always thought that I would never hear that said, but I've heard a parent say that, and it's just really disheartening to realize that that they don't want their offspring to be better than them. I can't understand that thinking, but that's what you have to deal with. So you have to learn how to understand it and work around it.
Yeah. Well, I know, just like me, I'm assuming that you've probably dealt with some pretty aggressive behaviors and things like that from the kids
Oh
you've
yeah.
been working with. And how have you looked beyond their behaviors to see the true them? Because I mean, I know that's something I've got to pull myself into, of just seeing them beyond their behaviors.
Yeah, it's that's tough. Like, that's really tough. I mean, because you are human, and so when you putting this type of effort into it, it becomes a tough situation, because you're getting that resistance, and the resistance you're getting is not understandable. So it's like, well, why don't you want this for them? And you can see that the kids are they put up so many different blocks, ways to block it mentally, like you were saying at the beginning, and that it's tough getting through that sometimes. Wait a minute. It's tough getting through that. Let me cut this thing off. But it's tough getting through that, and so it makes it a hard situation, especially when you start getting involved with the kids like that. It becomes a personal thing to you, because you can see what they can become, and then all of a sudden, trying to explain that to the parents who don't want to hear that, it's just a tough situation. I that's one thing that I haven't been able to deal with completely after all these years. I still have problems dealing with that, because I, that's a phenomenon that I don't understand, and I don't know why it happens. But for some reason, it might be because the parents are kind of not embarrassed themselves, but they don't want they don't feel good about their own situation, and so they don't want anybody else to have success out of their situation. And it's kind of sad. It's kind of a real bad situation, but hey, we just have to deal with it. That's the life. That's the world we live in. And that's what we have to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say, being able to see people for what they can become is a gift, Austin.
Yeah, that
And
is.
it really, you can hold that hope for them. I've found, for me, that is probably the greatest gift you can give them, is giving
Yes.
them a glimpse of what they could become, giving them that hope torch, but
Right.
every day, like you said, you got to keep throwing more fire on that
Yeah,
torch, because it's like
you
it
have
goes
to.
out at night when they go home.
You have to. That's right, and that's tough, man. That is really tough. I mean, but hey, like I said, that's just the world we live in, and I've learned now that I just got to keep my focus on the kids, and I don't worry so much about the parents anymore like I used to. Even though that is a major problem you got to deal with, but I got to try to keep the kids going in the right direction, because it's going to come a time when they're going to have a chance to do their own thing, and I'd like to have them at least have some idea that they can do their own thing.
Right, right. Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. Um, well, like I said, I know that you have done so much for the youth, and you're continuing to put one foot in front of the other here every single day, just kind of continuing to keep trying. Like you said, that's kind of been the thing that's kept you going. Anything else that you feel like has kept you going to continue just to keep trying? Because it, like you said, it can be tough.
Well, I guess the only other thing is the fact that I realized that it's a never ending battle. It's never going to stop. It's always going to be another challenge ahead of you. So you have to kind of realize that, and realize that, there's no end game in this. You just have to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep trying to instill what you can into the kids as much as you can, and somewhere along the line, maybe you can help the parents a little bit. But because the toughest situation is when you walk into a situation where the parents don't want you around, don't even want you to be talking to the kids, but the kid is giving you signals that he wants that attention.
Right.
He wants your help. That is the toughest situation I've ever had to deal with. But it happens so much that I've gotten used to just ignoring it and just dealing with the kid as much as I can until the parents get belligerent and they just say, "No, you leave my kid alone. That's it."
Yeah. That is a tough situation.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of kind of the future for you, I mean, I know this is kind of where your heart and passion is, and you're continuing to work so hard in this way and just pouring your heart out into this, trying to help these kids. I mean, obviously you see the payoff when, like you said, the one kid who was able to give a speech, I mean,
Right.
like, that's huge.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, you can't. It has to be in your blood, I think, because if it's not in your blood, you will probably end up giving up. That's probably what it comes down to. But like I said, I've been doing it since I was in college, as far as helping, and the one thing I never like now, I meet so many young kids that I try and encourage them to. It's not about sport. I happen to was given a gift to be able to play a sport and make a living out of it, but it's not about sport. I mean, because what you have in that book, I was fortunate enough to have parents who pushed me education first instead of sport, and that helped more than anything. And trying to get them to understand that, like I try and tell my kids about reading. I mean, if you want to go to California, get your book on California, and you can go to California. You can read about California. It'll give you what you need to at least be able to imagine or feel what California is like. And that's how I try and encourage them. I mean, give them ways that they can actually feel, touch, and see ways of working into, because most of them just need to get into a situation where they can see there's something else in the world.
Yeah.
See, a lot of them are trapped in that environment, and so they don't understand that there is another world, another something else out there. And I think that's what really hurts. It bothers them, and it hurts me to realize that they're so locked in, but it's amazing when you find a young man or young lady who realizes that this is not all the world to them, because, and that it can be accomplished. It's not just TV, that you can go out and do it, and you do it through education. I mean, when you finally find those type of individuals, man, that is so rewarding, man. That is great, because they respond to everything that you suggest to them, everything that you want them to do, they do. I mean, it's just a great feeling when it comes down to that situation.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're speaking to both the helpers and the kids who are
Yes.
needing the help here, because you're like, man, helpers, we just need to keep giving hope to these kids, give them a vision that they can walk into. And then kind of the message to the kids is there can be a different future.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
life can be different.
Yeah, yes, that's exactly right. You hit it right on the head, Blake. That's the message you have to send to them. And like I said, what I had to understand over the years is that you're not going to get through to everyone, even though you would like to, but you still have to try. And to me, I also had to realize that if I can help one or two out of say five, that I've done a great job,
Mhm.
because there's one or two families that are going to have a different course in life,
That's
you
right.
know, and so that's kind of how I look at it, because it's got to be frustrating when I couldn't help everybody, but that's just not possible, you know. So you come to a certain realizations when you are doing this, because when you're helping other people, because some people just, it takes a while for them to want help, you
Hmm.
know, and they're bitter because of their situation that they're in. So it takes a while. You got to massage. It takes. It's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, it's not easy. And when you look at, you know, some people, it's just tough to handle, and you just have to find a way. You got to find the button that's going to make them react.
Yeah.
And once you find that button, man, that's the best feeling in the world.
Yep. And that's what keeps you coming
But
back.
yeah, but finding that buttons can be tough.
Oh, yeah. Well, Austin, I know that you've got time constraints this morning here, and so I just want to thank you so much. But if there's any last words of wisdom you want to share with those who are listening today, I just want to give you that space to be able to say what last thing you want to say today.
Well, I guess I would say, you know, helping others is a good way of living your life. I mean, it's a rewarding. It can be tough, but it's rewarding to you to help other people. And if everybody would help one person, it would be a whole different world.
Ah, well said. Well said. Well, awesome. Again, thank you so much for joining us today and taking the time to be able to speak with me and share your story and your wisdom with everybody listening. And I just thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And I just can't wait to talk more about living lucky next time. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day.